everyone. My name is Barb Knappy, and I'm a peer support advocate for Ability Montana in Butte. 4 years ago, a small group of women were sitting in a coffee shop exchanging the funniest stories about our lives as disabled women. Comedy is about pointing out the absurd. As disabled people, there is a lot of absurdity. We were all laughing so hard when someone said, "We should do a show." That was the beginning of Let's Talk Disability. A month ago in Butte, we had our third show. Now I am here opening the first show in Helena, and there's talk of Bozeman putting on a show as well. All the stories are not funny. Some are heart-wrenching. What they are stories about us, by us. They are written in our voices. All of our stories are powerful, empowering, and healing. It is no easy feat to bear yourself in front of a crowd, much less to ourselves. These stories tell the good, the bad, and the ugly. You all get the finished product. We have all cried tears and shared laughter to tell these stories. We all have stories. Am I beautiful, ugly, smart, stupid, sad, happy, Republican, Democrat, neither, Christian, Jewish, Buddhist, and the list goes on. Our stories are influenced by our beliefs or created from our beliefs. What we need to understand is, if any of our stories or beliefs are not serving us, we can question them and choose to change them or keep them. When my arms were paralyzed 30 years ago, I experienced a lot of dread. It was a dreadful thing that happened. I persevered pretty well, but in January every year, close to the anniversary date, the dread always came back. December 20th of last year, as I was going through my day, it hit me, oh my God, in 1 month and a day, it'll be 30 years of paralysis. The dread hit hard and it pissed me off. I stood there and thought, this is too early. I am not doing this already. In the next month, because I had been working on my stories, I thought to myself, this makes no sense. I have had a pretty good life as a paralyzed person. What am I dreading? With that realization and knowing, the dread went away as quickly as it came. It also did not come back in January. In writing our stories, we face some of the many stories we have. Most of the stories we have are ones we have accepted from society we live in. I remember when Brian Gumbel said, "Oh, I just couldn't go on," when he was talking about Christopher Reeves becoming a quadriplegic when he fell from a horse. I remember being angry with him because I knew Bryant had no idea how he would handle it. I had, in part, though, also bought into the story, and it really only reared its head once a year. How many of us consider disabled less than or not worthy? Many disabled buy into that story as well. We already have so much to overcome. Be careful what stories you are telling yourself. Some of them aren't worth living with. So, welcome to Let's Talk Disability Helena, where we embark on a journey of understanding, empowerment, and inclusivity. Join us as we delve into conversations that shed light on the diversity of experiences and perspectives within the disabled community. Together, let's pave the way for greater awareness, advocacy, and meaningful dialogue. This is a monologue series about people with disabilities or chronic illness speaking their truth to inform and educate about their experiences. Ability Montana is a disability-ran nonprofit for people with disabilities working together to gain equal access and independence within our society. On with the show.
Ability Montana impacts the communities we serve by providing opportunities for folks living with disabilities to be truly integrated in their community in every aspect.
Centers for Independent Living were founded out of other civil rights movements that happened in the late 1960s, and wanting to have a place at the table and be able to be full functioning members of our communities.
Ability Montana is a center for independent living which has 5 core services. Information and referral,
where we can gather information for folks who have goals or needs and either refer them out to community resources and community partners or refer them within our own agency.
Our peer program, where we have various peers calling and connecting and supporting other peers and other consumers.
Advocacy,
whether it's policy change or working with county level officials or even at the state level.
A self-direct program which enables people with a disability to hire their own helpers.
Transition services, transitioning youth from the schools into the community and transitioning folks from institutional settings back into the community.
And then our independent living skills, where we provide independent living classes for folks to understand how to balance a checkbook, how to have cooking classes.
Taking people camping, fishing, recreation.
Or we do special events like Let's Talk Disability Butte, where we feature individuals with disabilities telling their stories on stage.
Ability Montana has offices in 3 locations, Butte, Bozeman, and Helena, and we service 14 counties in southwest Montana.
Who can access Ability's core programs? Anyone with a disability.
Anybody with a disability.
Anybody with a disability.
Whether that is through mental health means or if it's a more physical disability.
Whether you're born with a disability or you acquire it at some point in your life.
120,000 people across Montana have some type of disability that they're dealing with on a daily basis.
As long as it impacts somebody's day-to-day life and activities of daily living, we can help them.
You come to us and we know that you're the authority on your own life. You are the one that knows what your desires, your wants, your goals are. Our job is to meet you where you are and walk alongside you as you reach those goals.
The reality of the situation is we all want to feel normal. And sometimes feeling normal is going out and experiencing the things that you experienced before.
Those workshops have helped me and changed my life by giving me all the tools I need to be an independent person.
We've gone from simply being in the room to having our voices actually listened to.
Self-directed has helped me live on my own for 28 years.
Being able to direct people to help you be in the world, be at home, be safe, be healthy is a great gift.
Empowering independence for people with disabilities through advocacy, resources, and lived experience.
Hi, my name is Mariah. There once was a girl who had a hard time with words. They sounded weird, looked squiggly, and moved around. A psychiatrist said, learning disabilities. Kids said, retard. Teachers did not know what to do, but thought I was slow. Trauma is a little word for massive things that break you. Having learning disabilities is traumatic. You know that you are different, that other people can read, do math, and decipher the spoken word. The school just passed me from grade to grade. There were other traumas, the biggest being the death of my sister when I was 16 and she was almost 11. Mental illness runs in my family like a fun pool party where your cousins try to drown you. This reality did not come to me until after I was diagnosed, and then my children were diagnosed. When I was pregnant with my first child, I was so depressed that I slept about 20 hours a day. I did not realize that this was abnormal until someone made a comment about it to me. Even though my son was a great-looking kid, he was very lethargic and would not wake up for feedings. The nurse and I would have to flick his feet in order to wake him up to nurse. He was diagnosed with his first mental illness when he was 2. The reason we initiated this was that his anger was overwhelming. He would throw his toys and scream
everything else. Greg learned to do soft holds on him so he would not hurt himself or others. This is the history that precipitated this writing. I have danced with death, seen pain in its dripping glory, held the hands of a 10-year-old with years of hatred and despise in his eyes, walked in the footsteps of bloody prints made with terror and fear behind every shadow, cried words of sympathy, confusion, and longing for ends to shame, pain, and supplication. When I look at him, I see the echo of my own madness, feel the bile rising to exclude and fissure the world. The only things that comfort him is the decaying of old bones, the crimes of others, and sex acts so profane they make the hardened blush. There's a darkness that we both know and can't articulate to others, beyond sadness, beyond loneliness, beyond reason. Pain so intense we cut, bite, pick, dismantle our skin just to get some out. When is this going to end? Will some great God above absolve us of this corrosion of solace? Thank you.
I love Helena because it really is a community. People know each other, and they look out for each other, and they come together to solve problems. I love the trails with our city parks that are our mountains. It's just part of our experience here. This afternoon we're going to be doing an inclusive walk audit. A walk audit is when you walk through a community and you observe areas where it's not accessible and areas that are more accessible. The thing that makes this so effective is that the multidisciplinary team includes people with disabilities and bring a real important perspective that makes a world of difference to people's understanding of their environment. There are several new assessments of our community that have recommended that we need a wayfinding system. We need for people to know where the trailheads are. Where do you get healthy food? So this indicates to all users that they're approaching Centennial Park.
The scope of the wayfinding plan itself is for the entire Helena Valley. A lot of time went into the color scheme for those individuals who have low vision, being able to have a color scheme that doesn't just all blend into the background. The size of the lettering, different sign heights was all part of the conversation of who we're serving and their needs.
Hi, my name is Teresa. I want to share a little bit about me and my life experiences. At 15 months old, I was diagnosed with spastic quadriplegic cerebral palsy. This type of cerebral palsy affects my balance, both of my arms and legs, and my coordination skills. My adoption took 9 years to get legalized. After they found out I had cerebral palsy, the state said to my parents, "You can give her back and choose another child." My parents said, "No way. She is what God has given us, and we have fallen in love with her. We will raise her and take care of her." Her disability really did not make a difference. I started preschool at age 3. I went to Helena public schools. Due to the schools not being accessible to my needs, I would have to be carried up and down the stairs so I could go to my classes and other school activities. At one of the schools, I had to drag my wheelchair around on the sidewalk to get to some of my classes. My first grade teacher started a disability class where the students had to have a disability for a week to experience what it was like to have a disability. At age 6, my first grade teacher had me speak to the students to tell them about cerebral palsy. I was bullied throughout my school years, but didn't let that bother me. My thought was, let people think what they want. I have goals and aspirations I want to reach. These are some of the things I have accomplished over the years. 2024. I spoke at Broadmoor School to a second grade class about disabilities. 2020. In October, I was hit by a car while going through the crosswalk and survived. 2006, went to Disney World with Faith for 8 days. 2011, I got to meet Pat Duke when she came to Helena to speak about mental illness. 2016, I met Matt Roloff from Little People Big World at a disability conference. 2012, I was featured in Apostrophe magazine. 1996, I started work at Ability Montana and still work there today. 1994, I was in the National Honor Society because of my positive attitude and willingness to learn new things and helping other students in my class with homework, and graduated high school. In 1991, I went to the International Special Olympics in St. Paul, Minnesota. I rode horses in competition and won a gold medal. 1982 was the poster child for the March of Dimes for the state of Montana. 2004 to present, I continue to speak at the legislature about Medicaid funding and home care services so we can live as independent as possible in the community. I have an older brother, but we're not close. I don't feel comfortable being around him because he makes comments about people who are in low-income housing. I don't think this is right. He laughs at me and makes fun of me, so we hardly talk. To all the people who have a hard time speaking about their disability, I have this to say. Don't let your disability define you. What defines you is what is in your heart and soul. Always remember to see the ability in your disability. I will leave you with this quote. When you are lonely or wish you love, When you are down, I wish you peace. When things are hectic, or when things are chaotic, I wish you inner silence. When things are empty, I wish you hope.
Here in Montana, we have a lot of rivers to explore. There's no reason why people with disabilities can't be on them too. My name is David Poole. I've been an adaptive athlete since 2006. I started working with Ability Montana in May. Late June, we collaborated with Camp Bullwheel nonprofit to start this recreation program.
We're a peer-run organization. So we're people with disabilities helping other people with disabilities enjoy the outdoors and live independent lives.
Hey, how's it going, Larry? Good, how are you? The whole experience is wheelchair accessible. We have adaptive equipment, and so someone with a disability, say a low quad, can come in here and fish effectively and efficiently. And it's a wonderful place to just hang out, beautiful area, and you get to fish and enjoy the real Montana experience.
A lot of times when you have a disability, you're limited to the amount of places you can go and the things you can do. We really have to rely on adaptive equipment and technology to really help us get out there.
The boats and things that have been all adapted, they're not readily available commercially, and so it's quite expensive to adapt one for yourself. And so there are impediments in the way of keeping a lot of these folks from recreating in the outdoors, and we want to help knock down those barriers and help give people access to the outdoors in Montana.
Anytime that you can get away from your wheelchair and the stress of everyday life and be focused on something that you're passionate about gives you freedom.
Hello, I'm Carroll, and this is my daughter, Sierra Lodi, who I'm proud to introduce to you. When asked to say something about herself, she said, "I value my faith and my church, and I love cats." In her spare time, she loves to go on drives in her van with her mom and dad. She likes to color, go to the cinema, watch TV, and visit with friends. Why did I want to go to college? Look at me. I cannot speak, use my hands, or walk. Do I look like I am capable of doing anything that would be meaningful? Do I look like I'm intelligent? Probably not. If I showed you my college degree, would that change your mind? Probably it would. Being well educated proves that you are capable of doing something productive and to pay it forward, so to speak. I not only had the need to prove to other people that I could succeed in college, I really needed to prove it to myself. 4 years after I graduated high school, I realized I needed to get a college degree. I knew I hated the possibility of doing office work the rest of my life. I wanted to be involved in helping other youth who have disabilities. I wanted to let them know that their futures could be bright. And I wanted to be involved on a personal level. So here I am talking to you about going to college. You are probably asking yourself, how, given so many obstacles, was I able to get a college degree? I was connected to the university with a rehabilitation counselor who believed in me and my employment goal of being a motivational speaker. Vocational rehabilitation paid for my tuition, as long as my grades were good. I applied for a Pell Grant every year, and that helped with my living expenses. You do not have to pay back a Pell Grant. My friends and my parents were totally supportive of my college aspirations. At the University of Montana in Missouri, I was able to stay in Panzer Hall, a handicapped accessible dorm. It was one of the newer dorms on campus and quite nice. Most of the classroom buildings had elevators. If you wanted to take a class that was not in an accessible room, they would move that class to a room that was accessible. I met with a disabled student services coordinator at the university. She was awesome and told me about the accommodations that are provided students who have disabilities. All of my textbooks could be put on disk. I could have a note taker. I could even have extra time for tests. And most important for me, I took several classes online. That meant I didn't have to be at a certain place at a certain time on campus. And my studying schedule could be very flexible. The degree that I have normally takes 2 years of study for a student who does not have a disability. I could only handle 2 classes per semester, so it ended up taking me 6 years. That sounds like a long time, but I was able to experience the activities of college life, making new friends, living in a dormitory, going to concerts and sports events. Go Grizzlies! I experienced the independence of living away from home and enjoyed the fun things that a college town had to offer. I was extremely happy to find out that a couple of my professors were more than willing to make the classes I was taking more meaningful to me personally. For example, my social work professor had me do a presentation to 4th grade and 5th grade elementary students on what it's like to have disabilities and how I use technology to talk and to write. He gave me this assignment instead of having to do a 6-page essay, which the other students had to do. I loved speaking to the kids, and they sure loved having me in their classroom. And I sure liked not having to write the essay. I also had a math professor and a writing professor who customized their classes to be more meaningful for me. So you see, there certainly was some flexibility by 3 of my professors, not so much from the others. I feel that I succeeded in accomplishing a goal that many able-bodied people won't even try. It really feels good. Thank you for this opportunity to share a small part of my life with you.
Hey bartender, you assume that I cannot drink a margarita, so you don't serve me a margarita? So I don't drink a margarita. Your assumption becomes reality. And parents, you assume that I cannot live on my own, so you don't encourage me to live on my own, so I don't live on my own. Coach, you assume that I cannot hit harder, so you don't train me to hit harder, so I don't hit harder. And teacher, you assume that I cannot learn Shakespeare, so you don't teach me Shakespeare.
Old MacDonald had a farm,
so I don't learn Shakespeare. E-I-E-I-O. But hey, if all your assumptions become reality, then assume that I can drink a margarita. You serve me a margarita, so I drink a margarita. Assume that I can live on my own, so I live on my own. Assume that I can hit harder, so I hit harder. Assume that I can learn Shakespeare. So, what fools these mortals be? I learned fucking Shakespeare. You assume I can swear, right? Assume that I can do that job, that I can go to parties, that I can have sex, that I can be on stage. Assume that I can. So maybe I will.
My name is Katie. I'm honored to be here tonight sharing my story with you all. First things first, I know what you're thinking. Wonder what her nose looks like. Well, I'll tell you. It's adorable, a little bit pointy, probably a little bigger than you're thinking. I'm just kidding, but truly, you've probably noticed that I'm wearing a white disposable N95 mask over my face. I'm an educator, and this is the way I often broach the subject of the elephant in the room with my students. And I do eventually show them what my nose looks like. The rest of the time I'm teaching, though, the mask stays on. This is because 3 years ago while teaching, I caught COVID-19 and I never fully recovered. Before I continue my story, I want you to take a moment with me to reflect. I want you to think about how it made you feel when you saw me walk onto the stage with the mask on. Were you afraid, angry, appreciative? Allow yourself an honest reflection. The rest of my time, I would like to talk about what has happened to me since getting COVID in January of 2021. I would like to talk about how my career and my body have changed, how my perspectives have shifted, about the community I found and the stigma that I have faced with this little piece of fabric on my face. In March of 2020, I was teaching my dream job, and don't laugh, but I was teaching middle school. School shut down right around spring break, and as educators, we did our damnedest to keep our students safe, happy, and acknowledged, even from a distance. That fall, when we discussed going back to school in person, I advocated for every safety precaution we can take. I argued that if even one student caught COVID and ended up with lasting heart damage, then we had failed. That would become ironic later, so remember it. We went back in person, teaching simultaneously online and in person, with masks and Germex and Lysol wipes and windows wide open and fans always running and carts for the teachers and lunches and classrooms. And I'm out of breath. It was exhausting. But as educators, we were applauded, thanked, put on pedestals as heroes. The mask showed we cared about our students and we were there for them no matter what. In January of 2021, I became seriously ill. I tested negative for all the usual suspects, most importantly for COVID, and I slept without being able to wake myself fully for 2 days. After 4 days of being ill, I went back to my job. The next 4 months are a blur, punctuated by monthly ER visits, weekly sick days, and countless doctor's appointments. I left my job at the end of that school year too ill to commit to a new contract year. It took until October of that year, 10 months after getting sick, to first hear the words long COVID. I was officially diagnosed in January of 2022, almost a year to the day after my initial infection. A quick rundown of long COVID, which is considered a disability. Long COVID refers to a post-viral illness that persists after an initial COVID infection. It's also called post-COVID syndrome, long-haul COVID, or post-acute sequelae of SARS-CoV-2 infection, if you're really fancy. Mayo Clinic tells us that long COVID can start 4 weeks after your infection and last months or even years. The main symptoms are fatigue, symptoms that get worse after physical or mental effort, also known as post-exertional malaise, fever, and lung or respiratory symptoms, including difficulty breathing and chronic cough. Which honestly is a woefully inadequate way to describe my symptoms, a couple of them, which include, why can't I wake myself up, also known as fatigue. Where did I leave my brain, also known as brain fog. Who turned the gravity all the way up, also known as post-exertional malaise. Why are my labs totally normal except when I Google them, immunocompromised? And why does my heart keep doing cardio sitting down? Here's the ironic part now. I have a heart problem from contracting COVID. At the time of my diagnosis, 1 year after my initial illness, my new symptom list had 54 unique symptoms on it. Long story short, long COVID really gave me a whole different body to work with. Fast forward 1 year, after thousands of dollars in medical bills, many frustrating doctor's appointments, treatments, and setbacks, and I'm at the airport ready to travel to Mayo Clinic. It's December 2022, and people have mostly moved on from COVID. I don't see a lot of masks at the airport. I sit in the accessible seating with my N95 and my cane that I need to use sometimes to walk when I'm too weak, and some guy stands in front of me and glares. I sincerely looked behind me to see what was going on. Nope, he's glaring at me. This is the first time the simple act of having a mask on my face causes a stranger to approach me with anger. It's unfortunately not the last time. My favorite time, however, was loudly saying, "It's none of your fucking business," to some old American guy off the cliffs of Moore in Ireland. I was and still am pretty upset about those interactions. These men looked at the mask on my face and decided they knew something about me, and that made them angry. All I was trying to do was to keep myself healthy enough to get to a doctor who ultimately wasn't able to help me. From a more logical perspective, the anger doesn't surprise me. Often fear comes out as anger, as I know firsthand battling the grief and uncertainty of long COVID. But I'm not sure why it's directed at me and why my mask is so other and very different for some people. I'm still a person under here, just an immunocompromised one. After the COVID waves of 2022, people started to be afraid of my mask. I went to a wedding wearing my mask, and an unmasked guest asked frantically if I had COVID because he didn't want to get it. This exchange has happened more than once, where my mask has inspired fear. More recently, and somewhat strangely, unmasked people have thanked me for wearing a mask, saying they're grateful for people like me. I guess that's better than the death flare. The appreciation from people about my mask is sometimes genuine, though. I have many friends, both in person and online, that protect themselves wearing masks too. Recently, one of them commented on a picture of me wearing a mask. They said N95s are hot, as in sexy. It's a great compliment. Some people on the internet with more knowledge than me have even noted that wearing a mask carries some signaling of I am a safe person, much in the same way a pride or a pronoun does. To the people who need it, myself included, my mask says, I care about keeping you safe. I care about protecting you. Which, if you remember the beginning of my story, is why I put the mask on in the first place, to keep my students safe. I have never tried to get others to mask. I have never told someone what they should or should not do in that regard. But oh boy, have I been told what to do. From, well, are you just going to wear that mask forever? To, you can take your mask off, you don't have to be afraid of COVID. This mask has caused a lot of opinions to be lobbed my way. I expect every disabled person in this room, visibly or otherwise, knows what that feels like. I would like you to walk away from this with an understanding of why one person, me, is still masking. There are lots of different reasons someone may still be masking or isolating. Maybe they just went through chemo and are waiting for a bone marrow transplant. Maybe they just gave birth and are waiting to meet their NICU baby. Maybe they are immunocompromised and have used up all of their sick days and can't afford to get sick. My reason is that every time I get sick with any illness, my baseline resets, and my symptoms increase to unmanageable levels. I can't work, I can't socialize, and I struggled for about 2 weeks. I think during that time about how the world and my loved ones would be better off without me, and about how the suffering isn't worth it, and the uncertainty of will this ever end. Many people have made the choice to return to their lives as if it were pre-pandemic. And I think that wearing a mask and talking about COVID is uncomfortable to some people because it reminds them that COVID is still here. But I do not get the opportunity to ignore or move on from COVID. Every doctor's appointment I go to, I have to say the words long COVID, as that is my official diagnosis. Every new treatment or symptom I research must include the word COVID. I do not get the novelty of forgetting the virus, the word, or the illness that I have because of it. But I do get the choice of how to keep myself as safe and healthy as possible as I navigate this world with long COVID. To me, wearing a mask is worth it to not get sick and to maintain some sense of normal. I don't owe anyone an explanation as to why I mask, and honestly, I rarely give one anymore. Mostly if people ask me about my mask, I ignore them. But I have a chance to stand here and tell you my story and about why I choose to wear a mask. I will ask you again, how does seeing my mask make you feel? I hope you can at least feel acceptance towards this thing that's helping me live my life on my terms. And if you see others with a mask, hopefully you'll be able to accept them and their life circumstances too. Thank you for this opportunity for my story to be heard.
Hi, I'm Shauna, and I want to thank all of you for coming. This has been a very enlightening process. For me, vulnerable really isn't my thing. I've also discovered through this process how healing it is to write and to tell my story. I'm from a small town in Wyoming. I'm the youngest of four. My brother Troy is the eldest, and I have two older sisters, Wendy and Leilani. I'm a proud mama of two and a stepmama of three. Together we have 5.5 grandchildren, ages 2 to 9-year-olds, 7 and 5 years. And with one on the way. I also have a grandmother baby and a son-in-law. I currently suffer from several invisible disabilities, also known as hidden or non-visible, that are not immediately apparent. They are typically chronic illnesses and conditions that signify impaired normal activities of daily living. ADHD, or attention deficit hyperactive disorder, is a biggie for me. And the only invisible until you meet. It was originally called ADD when I was diagnosed in the early 80s, but I put hyperactivity in that shit. And I call it attention deficit high definition. Back then, mental health was not something anyone was concerned about, so many of my struggles were overlooked or overdosed or diagnosed, and prescribing high doses of speed to help mask behaviors and concern. I've also been gifted with fibromyalgia, which causes chronic widespread pains in different points of my body, and I have recently been diagnosed with polymyalgia rheumatica. Look it up. All I know is this disorder attacks my already weak fibers, causing me more pain in the areas not covered by my fibro. And I've always struggled with anxiety, depression, and some PTSD. I was born on Earth Day, April 1970, an era of peace, love, and harmony. I was raised tough and born to fight, parties and rallies all through the night. Drugs and alcohol and abuse for free. Didn't know it wasn't good for me. My father had been an angel of the hell's kind before I was born, and then became part of the saints and cast all throughout my childhood. I had seen, been, and done things that a child should never see, be, or do. Raised on the back of a Harley, exploited, drugged, used, and hardened. Born feral and next generation, we had to raise ourselves without complaint. We were to speak only when spoken to, and to be seen but never heard. Well, I had a high definition, and I was destined to break that mold. I was loud, outspoken, reckless, impulsive, assertive, and overconfident. I had free rein and not much structure or guidance. At age 7, the first weed I would smoke. I will never forget that fatal token. By age 12, I'm selling that stash. 4-figure quarterback, 25 cash. It was a lot of money for a girl like me, coming from trailer trash and poverty. Trouble would soon find its way. Parents always absent, always away. Although those were only some of the characteristics I gained throughout my life, independence and freedom became so much bigger than me. I lost myself and began to spiral out of control. At age 13, my antics were like a game. Attention deficit disorder was the given name. Stimulants were used to fix it all, but they made me slow and so small. But given to my friends, they had it all. Age 14, my gypsy blood flows. Freedom from this inside me grows. New adventures await, always on the run. Addicted to the drugs, the alcohol, and ADHD has had some profound effects on my life, negative and positive. Negative effects, constant overstimulation, self and others. My excitability and energy levels tend to irritate or annoy others, and does the same for me. Yes, I am negative myself. I've had suicide ideation in several attempts. I have high tolerance for alcohol and drugs. The terms slow, stop, rest, and sleep are not and have never been part of my vocabulary. Asking me to do any of the previous mentions seems completely unreasonable and mostly offensive. If I could slow down, I would. I'm easily taken advantage of due to all the shit I can accomplish with all this energy. People pleasing tends to take its toll on my physical health, yet I'm always there to help and too busy to notice. My inability to control my spontaneous reactions and my emotional responses drives me and others insane. I've lost many friends due to uncontrolled childlike energy, my holder mouth, my blatant honesty, and my uncontrolled desire to move, sing, dance, talk, play, cry, etc. People are usually given a disclaimer or warning before they introduce them to someone. There are some positives. My ability to accomplish many things efficiently and in a timely manner. I am a natural problem solver, troubleshooter, and great under pressure. I'm a quick study, the Jane of all trades, and a queen of many. Overly ambitious, assertive, and driven through inspiration. Very organized, planner, and tracker of all things. Very caring, loyal, authentic, and honest, sometimes to a fault, but very passionate and empathic. Growing up without supervision, structure, or discipline to speak up and having the energy of a small animal, trying to be a child, but living as a big girl with the freedom to make adult decisions. Finding out that life on the fly was all it was cracked up to be, it was hard, but I was harder and determined to make it on my own. It took a miracle to set me straight, to get me on the right path home. Soon my life changed, as hard as I thought. At age 18, a new life to me was brought. Almost gave way that life so hard, being so damaged, broken, and scarred. Who am I to raise this child? My life so free and tamed for a while. I found the strength to let it be, and strength that gave my serenity. 2 years later, and again blessed as me, gifted my courage for the birth of Shady. Those 2 lives became my life's mission. I would never allow them to feel the way I felt through my childhood. I wanted to give them the life I never had, to give them the choices never offered me. But I was afraid that my being high definition and overstimulation was counteracting all that I was trying to accomplish. Parenting was unknown to me, and I had no idea what to do. But at age 21, I finally learned how to play. Growing up so fast, I didn't know what I missed. It was locked, and we had some fun. Quite too much. I decided to complete my education, go back to school, and earn a degree. With 2 babies and no husband, I knew it would be a challenge. I received my associate's degree, couldn't have done more, but was hit with the death of my father. I know that he wasn't a great person or set very good examples, but we still had a good connection, unlike any of my siblings. And now he would never see me graduate or get married. How could he leave me so soon? I struggled inside, alone and afraid, no family support in the bed that I made. Failing at love, depression inside, sparked another attempt at suicide. This would be my last attempt to die. Looking into my innocent girl's eyes, how selfish I felt, how hard I cried. No more running, I can no longer hide. I saw for the first time my purpose in life. I found the strength to break through the trauma. The circle of chaos was to be challenged. I was determined to become a rock to break yourself upon. I wanted to empower myself and others, give support, love, and to spread positive energy. I wanted to be the change. I had the wisdom. I had to try. As I woke with new hope and new sight, this direction in my life, I'll fight. With purpose and strength, I move to beat the cycle and find my groove. 1998 in Montana, our new home, I promised to never again roam. I give my girls the life they deserved and forgive and forget the life I deserved. Took 11 days in Montana to meet a man in the same state of confusion and mind. Life had played him a familiar game. He too was alone raising 3 children struggling with single parenting. Together we found the strength to work as one, to give our children a chance to make their life functional with love, respect, and the voice they deserve. Life is changing, things falling in place, until pain and agony took up space. After many doctors made me feel a fool because I was 5-year-old before 5 was school. 7 years later, in a plethora of tests, the diagnosis was what I had originally guessed. Fibromyalgia is a thing, despite their denial. Soon became a beginning to all prescriptions on trial. It wasn't long before I was taking up to 13 pills daily, and not long after each new prescription that my body would reject. The side effects causing a plethora of new health issues. These side effects became something for sure, almost trying to discover which drug was causing each new sensation. I began to briefly lose consciousness while shopping, carrying laundry upstairs, and even once while I was driving. Fibromyalgia has been one of the hardest things that I've had to deal with, especially combined with my high definition. All the treatments, the tests, the side effects, trips to the ER, feelings of fire having a heart attack, only to be told it's just a viral filler. It seemed they never took me seriously and just pushed more prescriptions. I get these severe pains, relentless, unforgiving pains that completely debilitate me. I never get a warning, and it can strike at any time. I joke that I don't have bad hair days, but I have bad flare days. I know it's funny, but I tend to make jokes about myself. That's thinking something like 5 plus ADHD equals hyperactivity. Pain, oh yeah, pain. That's her name. The friend I never knew I wanted. Regardless, the stalker friend has imposed on my life and refuses to leave. I guess you can call her a squatter. She's always with me, come rain or shine, whether I want her around or not. Though it all she has always reminding me that I'm alive, and usually gives me a reason to get up, wake up, or not sleep, etc. This is how I describe my destiny. The effects on me. So far, with fibromyalgia, nothing positive to report. Loss of work, loss of jobs, loss of immune system, gaining nerve pain, irritable bowel issues, memory problems. The list goes on and on. We call it the irritable everything syndrome. After 15 years of prescription trials and torment and a list of new health problems, I began to wonder if the medications were going to take effect on the true issue of my bestie, pain. Recently, chose to taper myself off of all of the drugs and have been prescription-free for over 7 months. I can truly feel a difference, a little good, a little bad, mostly with my ADHD, which is out of control. I have not any regulation over my emotions, my spontaneity, energy levels. I do not sleep, rest, nap, or stop, so don't ask me to do it. I am willing to live again and learning more about my condition and how best to treat myself without the use of pharmaceuticals. I've also learned through this process that I have masked my conditions over the years, and my disability was invisible to me as well as others. I am no longer ashamed to say that I have a disability, and I need assistance sometimes. I can now advocate for myself and be okay with not being okay. Excuse me. Throughout my life and all that I've done, not always bad, I've had some fun. New direction, a new path in sight. My strengths keep me in the fight. Using the wisdom that I found, keeping positive energy always around me. Today I get the support I deserve, friends, family, and a lot of nerve. I'm blessed to work with people like me, blessed with heart and ability. Thank you.
Our self-direct personal care program allows the individual with a disability to hire, train, supervise the personal care attendants that they need to help them engage in their lives and be part of our community.
Ability Montana uses the funds that we get from the federal and the state governments to help us live as independent as possible in our own homes and community.
People just have to have 3 eligibility factors. 1 being that they have a need for personal care assistance. 2 is that they're willing to hire somebody and self-direct their own care. And 3 is that they're Medicaid eligible.
A lot of people don't know that your friends and your family members could be paid to be your PCA.
Knowing Kyler for a couple years before he was hired is very important to me, not just hiring a stranger. He's awesome. I love him to death.
Once they have that worker, we will get them signed up, get all their paperwork done, give them a little training, and then we do all the billing. So you just fill out timesheets, submit them, we take care of all of that paperwork.
My PCA helps me 7 days a week.
Basic things that they provide for me are bathing, lotioning, dressing,
meal prep, helping with housekeeping.
These self-checkout things just make me so frustrated.
Go to lunch, we go to the park just to hang out.
Getting up out of bed in the morning and making me presentable even for this interview today. Otherwise, I won't be looking as good as I do.
If Ability Montana was not here, a lot of us would be either living with our parents or living in a group home or an institution.
They literally keep people out of the nursing home, which is far less expensive, and it's so much more joyful for people to be able to be in their home and be independent.
The self-direct program has impacted my life by not being ashamed of my disability, not ashamed or disgusted to ask for help, because I do need help. And when that caregiver is there, he's there.
We are in every community in Southwest Montana. We have close to 350 consumers. We have about 300 PCAs. We are creating jobs out there. We're creating lives for people.
Managing my own care means security. Self-directed has helped me live on my own for 28 years.
It was like I was able to rebuild my life step by step. Having a PCA allows me to come in and have a job. So I have enough energy to be in the world.
Empowering independence for people with disabilities through advocacy, resources, and lived experience.
Good evening. My name is Allison. How is everybody? Good. Good. I hope you've been enlightened tonight, and I hope you enjoy my story. I am a woman who has endured mental illness, depression, and multiple suicide attempts. Oppression in a work environment for over 20 years, extreme morbid obesity, not having a single pleasure of being able to easily move from one room to another, and doing it on my own. I've been single for 31 years and haven't ever had the pleasure of having friends or supports due to my self-isolation. At 14, I became depressed, but in 1980, it wasn't a thing that was discussed at home or in the community, so I lived with it. I did meet the man who would become my husband, and we got into drugs. Then I attempted suicide. We had moved to Spokane, where I was truly without friends for the first time in my life, lost, as I planned a wedding and walked from another state. A marriage to a man I knew I should marry, but without him, I would truly be alone. Fast forward through 5 years of being married, I was blessed to have 2 beautiful children. It was her first birthday, and she wanted her hair curled. Not enough. They became my lifeblood. I was gifted a divorce and a U-Haul back to Montana. Needless to say, the suicidal ideations continued. But fortunately, I had my children, my parents, and I found God with His mercy. My parents took me and my kids in, and after some recovery, I got a job with the state. 3 years after being there, I had to report to my boss's supervisor as I had watched her cheat on her timesheet for 3 years. I lost my duty of timesheets, and I got to keep my boss. Just about everybody she's for. This woman did not know forgiveness and began her tyrannous reign of 20 years of oppression on me. Bit by bit, she cut and tore at me, constantly picking on even the smallest things. Day after day, year after year, trying to get me to quit. Little did she know, I was too depressed and had no self-worth that I couldn't quit as much as I wanted to. I did, however, love the people that I actually worked for and strongly believed in what they stood for. Bit by bit, as I sat in a chair for my job, this is me, my body slowly began to decompose. As I had made multiple bad choices, I just slowly destroyed my body further and further. Having early onset osteoarthritis, I had ruined both my knees, both my hips, and the lower half of my spine. This was me, with my good-looking children. I soon weighed over 400 pounds. I've lost a little. I'm only 5'2", and I give you permission to think, wow, what was she doing? I did, all the time, and I still didn't have a clue. I'd gotten away from drugs before ever getting pregnant, and luckily for my children, because I was messed up enough. I don't deny there were times I certainly thought about stealing away to another world. My health and depression continued to sink me to the bottom of the deep dark sea. It felt like I was drowning. My children, parents, and God were the ones that kept me above water to see yet another day. After spending a ton of time in the hospital for a laundry list of health problems, body degeneration, mental health, diabetes, obesity, cellulitis, the list goes on. My FMLA for work that year had run out. My boss put me on notice that she was going to have to do something if I missed any more work. Each time I was absent, my work was caught up above standards, because that's simply who I am. I've always been a very good worker, which is why she could never fire me. But now, I could imagine her sitting at her desk, rejoicing that her day to fire me could be coming very, very soon. And it did. After being there for over 21 years of hell, one day she walked into my office with a box, packed up my stuff, and walked me to the door. She gave me a letter being let go for health reasons. Yeah, it wasn't a good day. It did, however, become one of the best things that ever happened to me. For a while, I was lost and didn't know what to do, and ended up in our local hospital with the behavioral health unit with a plan for suicide once again. After 1 week, I wanted to leave, and I highly recommended that I stay at least 1 more week. I told them, nope, I have a plan. I'm going to give myself what nobody else is giving me. They didn't understand, but I did. I was going to recreate myself by myself. Being single for all these years, yeah, it's really been 31, without friends or supports except for my wonderful parents. I was going to be the friend to myself that I needed, the encourager that I needed. I decided it was all right if I had an opinion and a voice, and that it was all right if I put myself first and actually loved myself. Big task and a long list. But I'm thinking that even though I had become distant from God, He was graciously still working in my life. All of this was really tough for me, as I've always been a people pleaser and not very selfish, so to take care of me was something different. It has been 9 years and I'm still working on it. And honestly, I'll probably be working on it for the rest of my life. Being that I'm 28, there's still a lot of years ahead of me. What? Don't I get to count backwards after turning 43? I like the idea. Anyways, there were and are, who am I kidding, people in my life who don't like the new me, and some who like me better. Sometimes I change day by day as I slowly unbury the girl to become the woman that I've always wanted to be. When I was in my early 50s, I believe I was still at the maturity level of that 21-year-old girl that had first committed suicide. This was also the gal that could barely walk to the kitchen or stand long enough to cook a meal. Taking care of my own daily living tasks was nearly impossible. I was in so much pain and misery. I have managed to lose 200 pounds. No weight loss surgery. But it did still destroy my hips and my knees, and my spine didn't fare too well either. However, the doctors would finally be able to help me. Kind of been doing the hokey pokey of sorts. I put my right hip in for replacement, and then I put my left one in for replacement, and then I put my left hip in for replacement. 3 complete joint replacements in 1.5 years. I can't quite turn myself about, as I still have my other knee to do, and I still have plenty more weight to lose. I've gotten a part-time volunteer-like job working at Ability, Montana, and I'm absolutely loving it. And I'm the happiest I've been in a very, very long time. I think I'm a good fit. I mean, I think they like me. I'm even leading a women's group on every other Wednesday, so please come join us. There's also a men's group on Mondays. I won't be there, but you can come. Anyways, I'm thinking I'm going to be all right as I've redesigned my thinking, tempered my emotions so that I'm not completely broken for weeks over the smallest of things. I've redesigned my body by getting some stylish new body parts. And despite my lack of friends, I reached down and I grabbed my own damn bootstraps and became the friend I needed all those years. Now I've also made space to let God back in, and life is looking livable after 58 years. My children have turned out unbelievable. My daughter. And a picture of my son as well. And I'm a grandma to 8. I faced my misery. I found my voice. I found myself. I could finally fit in the chairs of the doctor's offices. I do give a huge shout out to my parents. They're not here tonight, but my life may have been rough, but my future is bright. I thank you for listening tonight, and I hope your evening has been a blessing, and you get so much from being here tonight. Shama. That is what it's all about. Put it in and shake it about. I hope you all have